All right. In this problem, I'm going to do a tutorial on how to use a piecewise function. How to use a piecewise function. This is generally one function that students hate because it looks confusing. It actually can be confusing if you don't understand the simple properties. When you have a piecewise function, you have to understand that a piecewise function, oops, first you have to understand how to spell it correctly. All right, a piecewise function is made up of pieces of functions, all right, where you're given a domain, all right? So before we do this, this is not part of the problem because we're actually going to be evaluating these values, all right? We're going to evaluate these two values, but in order to help us out here, I'm going to actually graph this. I'm going to graph this function. Now, in order to graph this function, okay, we're going to be looking at how we take it in pieces. So since it's a piecewise, we're going to take the pieces. Now the pieces are going to use two different functions. This one, and then the other one is going to be in red. Now both of these are going to be on the same graph because they represent one function f of x. One function f of x. So to do this, we're going to do the green one first, okay, the top function. Now this function 9x minus 4 is a line, okay, it's a line. We're only using this function for all, and this is the important part because this is a domain, for only the x values that are going to be greater than 3. Only the x values greater than 3. So what does that mean? Well, that means what we're going to do is, if you wanted to figure this out, we're going to take this function and already graph it. We're going to take 2 points. All right? We're going to take 2 points where x values are greater than 3. All right? And then we're going to use this function, 9x minus 4, and it's going to give our y value we're going to try to figure out. Now, whenever you do a piecewise graph, always start with the weird term, the first ending point. We're actually going to plug in 3. Now, a lot of you are thinking, well, it doesn't equal 3. You're right. So what we're going to have is we're going to have an open interval. We're going to have an open circle when we graph that. That's the key thing. So we're going to plug in 3 into this function. Well, 3 times 9 is going to be 27. 27 minus 4 is 9 times 3 is 27 minus 4 is going to be 23. So we're going to graph 3, 23. So 1, 2, 3. We can go by, we'll go 5, 10, 15, 20, and then 25. And so we're going to graph that probably about right there. Open circle to be 3, 23. Next one, we're going to plug in value where x is going to be greater than 3. So we're not going to plug in a 2. We're not going to plug in a 1. We're going to plug in maybe like a 4. All right, plug in 4. When you plug in 4, we're going to have to take 9 times 4 minus 4. All right, it's going to be 36. 36 minus 4 is going to be 32. 30. All right, 5. All right, so we'll have this point right here. So when we plug in 4, we're going to have 32. And this is a line. We only need 2 points. We're going to connect the dots, and that's what we have. All right. Now the next one, I'm going to make it red. All right, is we're going to be using this function. Right, this function, and for this function, I'll put it on this side, is our domain. So if we draw a little table, we're only using x values which are less than or equal to 3. Okay, our y values that are less than or equal to 3, we have to use this new function. So we're using 1/2 x plus 1. Once again, we're going to start at 3. We're going to always start at the value they give us. So we're going to start at 3, just like the other one. Except this one is a closed point. This one actually is what it's going to equal when you plug it in. So when we graph this, we're going to have 3, so 1/2 times 3, which is 3.5 plus 1, which is going to give us 2.5, about 2.5. We're going to go to 3, about 2.5, about right there. It's going to be a closed circle. We're then going to go, x value is less than that, so we're going to plug in a 2. That's a value less than 3. All right, plug in probably 0, 2. All right, I'll plug in 2. So we're going to take 1/2 times 2 now plus 1. Notice that I'm not plugging in the other function because, once again, we already drew the other function. We already did the pieces of that one. Now we're going to do the next one. So what we have right here is going to be 1/2 times 2, which is 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. And so what we have is 2. Right there, this is going to be 2. And a little bit lower down. All right. I got that. All right. And 0 will be 1. So what we have is this graph right here, connect the dots, and we have that line. So there is our two functions. If you want to know this function and this function together, create one function f of x. So there's two equations to create one function f of x. That's how we create the two pieces. So that's how you graph piecewise. So it's a little tutorial on that. However, now let's just get back to what we do here. Now, looking at the graph, we're trying to figure out what is f of 2. Well, f of 2, where does f of 2 fall? Well, you look at 2. Well, we don't use the top function because 2 is not greater than 3. 2 is actually less than 3, so we're going to take 2 and plug it into the bottom function right here. So we're actually going to use 1/2 times 2 plus 1, which we already did right there, which is equal to 2. And that's going to be our answer. We then go to 5. Well, 5, go over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Well, 5 is going to be using the top function. It's going to be up here. So we're going to use the top function because 5 is greater than 3. 5 is greater than 3. So we're going to use 9 times 5 minus 4, all right, which is going to be 45. 45 minus 4 is 41, all right, and that's going to be our solution to that one. So whatever you do when you evaluate different functions, all right, the key thing is identify what functions you're going to use, all right, for the particular value, all right, by looking at the domain, and that will tell you what you need to do. All right, hope this helps you. We're going to go through some more tutorials on how to graph piecewise in this